awfully painful to think about going back to the old way.
Oh. And that's a lot I just wanna, in terms of talk about this, is something that I realize also on my side, that having that reason, that valid enough reason to say, no, I'm gonna stop alcohol, it has a huge effect in your life. And having that list of reasons that you know, as much as we are saying this, but at the same time, you know that you are lying to yourself. That I believe that doesn't, no matter how much you try to stop alcohol, you realize that, no, let me just take it and drink 1 or 2 glasses. And that's where you see yourself that, no, I'm lying to myself. And something back then, something that you said, you started drinking alone. And I feel like the more you start drinking alone, the more you realize that, no, I have a problem.
Yeah.
Because I had, actually, in all honesty, I had that problem also. I would buy at least 2 bottles of wine and drink them alone. And in a way, sometimes, at some point, I lied to myself in a way of saying, no, I'm drinking these things just to sleep. And as much as I had problems with sleeping, at the same time, I knew that it is not a way to go when it comes to this issue. I need to face head on, not in terms of try to substitute it with something that is unhealthy towards me. And to some people, as I've said, that it should be have used in terms of, in a way of antidepressants. Anyway, you see. So again, in terms of celebration, and firstly, I just want to ask you this question of celebration. How does one eliminate alcohol when it comes to, in a way of celebrating a huge milestone?
Yes, I think the most important celebration is just acknowledging that you're making this choice for you, for your own personal well-being, for your own personal satisfaction, and for your own, being the creator of your life again, like being back in control, for lack of a better word, in your life again, right? Obviously, there's things we cannot control, but there's plenty of things that we can control, and we can control whether or not we choose to drink alcohol. And so celebrating that you are like falling in love with yourself again because you're choosing you. You're not willing to do something that's going to hurt you. And so to just kind of add on a little bit to the conversation about a problem, there's this societal understanding that having a problem with alcohol is bankruptcy or legal issues or homelessness, living under a bridge. And that's just not true. It is true for some, but it's not true for a lot of people. And so a problem could just be you don't like waking up less than energized in the morning. You don't like going through your day without a zest for life. You don't like being short fused with your children because they're too loud and you have a raging headache. You don't like the fact that you are missing promotions at work simply because your work performance isn't as good as it could be. And you have untapped potential. Like that could be the problem, right? And so when you start to now sleep better, talk about a celebration, right? Like if you're sleep deprived and then you start getting a good night's sleep again for the first time in gosh knows, how long, you're going to celebrate that, right? When your digestive issues start to dissipate because it's not processing out a toxin anymore, you're going to celebrate that. So the celebration isn't like I hit 1 year sober, I hit 2 years sober. Yes, celebrate that. Absolutely. That's worth celebrating. But the micro wins are what we really want to celebrate. All those little teeny tiny micro wins that we have in our lives because we made all these little shifts, and all those little shifts add up to one day you're just like, oh my God, I feel happy today. And it's almost this just like mind-blowing experience, because when's the last time you could honestly say that? Most people who have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol are going to walk around being like, I'm so happy. That's just very rare, right? And that's where the celebration comes in. You go outside and you're no longer annoyed by the birds chirping in the morning because you're hungover. You're actually welcoming them because you're awake and outside in the morning and not holed up in your bedroom. Those are the celebrations.
I want to touch on relationship. You spoke about relationships with alcohol, and definitely everything that has different relationships, there's negative part and positive parts. And in terms of, again, going to there, it's saying that you said should be seen as antidepressant. How do you create that positive image and rather treating alcohol as something that makes you happy and see it as something that calms you down?
So how do we see alcohol as
antidepressant.
Oh, well, apologies. My dog is barking in the background. There must be someone at the door. The way that I see it is that alcohol, it's more that we get confused by society's like messaging around alcohol, and that it's really required to have a good time or to be happy, or that it's required for basically every single event in life. And some of the things, it's not untrue that you can't enjoy a glass of champagne at a wedding, or like, that's not untrue. And that's why I'm not out to villainize alcohol. However, the question is, but is it true that you need to have the alcohol to have fun at this event? Like, do you actually fundamentally need alcohol to make this particular thing enjoyable, joyful, happy, pleasurable? And if the answer is yes, then you probably want to reconsider that thing. Alcohol to make it fun, then it probably isn't actually something that you would really want to do. And so using it associated with fun is learning how to show up in this world where you're not using it. And that takes a lot of practice and trial and error to decide and to figure out and to learn, what do I actually like? Because you kind of have to relearn how to live and how to be alive when you take out the alcohol. And some of the things that you thought you liked doing, you might actually learn you don't like doing as a sober person. And so then you have to find new things that actually bring you true joy. True joy does not require alcohol. Yeah. If you need alcohol to be happy, there's a lot that needs to be curiously questioned and considered.
Mm-hmm. And as you said, you need to ask yourself that, well, I need this. Do I need to drink alcohol in order for me to find happiness in? It takes me back when I was still drinking in a way. I think it was back in 2018, I'm not quite sure of the year. And whereas we usually went up, and that day, I don't know, like, we just drinking that time. Whereas at some point, I think we were around 8 or 9, one of my friends, 8 of us were drinking, one of our friends wasn't drinking. And at some point, we asked them ourselves that, how does this feel? Not just going out, I'm not saying, don't have that excitement. He said no. And funny enough, this year around March, I went out and I didn't drink the whole night. And I actually saw that it's nice. You don't have to be drinking in order for you to have fun. And it really warmed my heart in a way of me, right? And started asking myself, why did I drink first? In the first place, why did I do this? Because I didn't see the need of drinking alcohol. I didn't see the need of being a certain person that isn't able to have fun without alcohol. So it really changes your perspective when it comes to going out, in terms of going out, as you said, in terms of, I feel like the society has portrayed this thing of thing as a necessity, and it has become more popular than before nowadays, because everyone is drinking and drinking seems cool, so everyone wants to be cool, and it's something that, and I feel like people like me and you be able to push out that thing of, as your alcohol-free empowerment goals, in terms of just pushing the word of, you don't need to for you to have fun. You don't need to beat yourself up because you're not drinking. And I feel like that's the reason why most people drink, is the fact that they don't have a problem per se, but they saw their friends drinking and they ended up drinking, not knowing that it has its own consequences. Whereas sometimes it's quite hard when you start. It becomes an addiction. It becomes this thing that you no longer recognize, that you don't even recognize yourself as, oh, this is me as person that is thinking, how did I end up this way? So I feel like there's some things that you should be addressing, things that you shouldn't just turn a blind eye on. So I'm seeing that we are almost out of time. So what are some words of encouragement for people that find alcohol as a coping mechanism, and what do you advise them to substitute it?
Well, I think the best way to wrap would be to play off of what you were just saying a little bit about the social side of it, because I can tell you that is the number one thing that either the person who is considering going alcohol-free or the person who has already gone alcohol-free is navigating, or is fearful of having to navigate. And how am I going to go to social settings and be the only one not drinking alcohol? As humans, we have a fundamental desire to belong. And in a society saturated with alcohol, suddenly when you don't drink it, you have this feeling like you don't belong. And I'm here to tell you that yes, you do belong, but I'm also here to be very real. And it's okay if it's a little uncomfortable in the beginning. Uncomfortable, discomfort, awkwardness, just feelings. They're just feelings. And feelings are completely harmless and completely neutral as long as we don't take actions on them that can hurt us. And so go to the situation and be awkward. I certainly did. I'm 6.5 years sober and I still feel awkward sometimes in social situations where I don't know a lot of people. Go feel awkward, go feel out of place, but don't drink the alcohol to fit in, right? Like put yourself and your worth and your value so high on the pedestal that you wouldn't do that to yourself, even though you feel awkward and uncomfortable, because it will happen. So the message is just keep practicing. Just keep showing up and trying to be alcohol free over and over and over again. And eventually it'll become easier and you'll reach your flow state. You'll find your tribe. You'll find things that bring you joy. Give yourself grace, give yourself time, but just stick with it. That's what I would say.
And it's something that, in terms of something that you mentioned, it being there for yourself and have that genuine conversation with yourself and keep on being awkward. It's actually important thing. Funny thing is that at some point that I thought that it would be awkward me going to not drinking, and funny enough, I was still the same person that I was when I was drinking. In terms, sometimes it's hard, as much as it's hard, but we are not trying enough to be social beings that can operate without alcohol. So with those words, I would like to say thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I really enjoyed the conversation. And I'm saying that I feel like the time really went fast. I don't want to lie. I really went fast. And definitely the audience had learned a lot from our conversation in terms of realizing that alcohol is not when it comes to socials. And people actually have normalized, and I feel like we need to debunk it in a way of trying to say people be themselves, allow people to be themselves. I feel like another thing that I add is the fact that people, if you don't treat you as an outcast, and as you said that human beings want to belong, and as much as we want to belong, but at what cost? So again, those are the things so much for people. I really appreciate it. And expective. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Alcohol is such an ordinary thing to do. If you want to be extraordinary, you have to stop doing ordinary things. So abstain from the alcohol, go be extraordinary, and live the life beyond your wildest dreams. I'm so happy to have this conversation with you and to have it land in the ears and the hearts of your audience. Thank you for having me today.